Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam, the cream of the crop, the essence of all Vedic literatures. This is yoga in action. Good morning, Kaustubha. Did you get a good 6 hours last night?
Not quite.
As you strolled back to your apartment, and me and Mara packed it up in the pickup truck. We had a great pickup truck ride. I tell you, I gotta give some shout outs to Mallory. We were just screaming, singing in the front row in the front seat to keep me awake yesterday, just screaming, singing Madhava's rock band songs all night long. It was fun. Mara, wasn't it? Were you awake for that, Mara?
Yeah, I was awake.
Like,
How could I sleep?
That was really fun.
That was fun.
Anything. It was actually fun. And everyone, there's this famous, we had this great get together yesterday at the top of the roof of the Bhakti Center. Kaustubha, it was like, it's a pain in the neck to pack everybody up. It was me, Vegan Trucker, Mara, Mallory, and Bhakti Justin. Quite a posse. Mm-hmm. And, truthfully, I was like, oh man, this better be good. I'm driving all the way down here. It's exhausting packing up. I got to drive back tonight. When they brought out those deities to the roof, I was like, it's all worth it. It's all worth it to see people swinging the deities on the swing. It was such a cool event last night. Thank you. And I think it's on the Wisdom of the Sages live Instagram
I was
feed.
trying to find it. Maybe, Mara, do you know how it works? I was looking for it, but I couldn't find it.
You got to save it. You got to save it and post it to your grid.
I don't think we did that.
You might have dropped the ball. Mine disappeared because my phone died.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of Wisdom of the Sages listeners who got to listen, be there with us live on that. I think there were 60 people when we were recording.
I saw 65 at one point.
Yeah.
When Mara went and swaying the deities, it was like everyone started hitting that hard. It was like
Everyone started sounding that heart machine gun. I didn't get to swing the deities. I was singing the whole time.
Oh, that's all right. Well,
I was a little bummed because then they started packing up the deities. I was like, wait. Dude, you guys, it's like when they serve all the prasad and the servers don't get any. I was like, all right, that's the way it's going to be. All right, I'll serve you in my heart. I'll swing you in my heart.
There you go.
Anyway, it was a great event, but then we had to get home and then we sang. And, Kaustubha made this beautiful announcement. If you don't know, there's 6 loving exchanges between devotees. If you feel like, you know what? I don't have any love. I don't have any friends. Why don't I have any friends? You got to perform one of the 6 loving exchanges. That's how you make friends. Here's a good lesson. One is you give somebody a little prasad, food offered with love. And you say, hey, take this prasad. Now, if you're practicing bhakti yoga with a partner or a roommate who doesn't even know anything about Krishna, then you cook with love your food and you offer it to them. You don't nag them and preach to them and tell them why they're in Maya. That doesn't work. You cook some food with love and you give them a little prasad. In the giving of that prasad, it touches their heart. I can tell you many stories about people giving me prasad. Okay. And so you give prasad and then you receive prasad. Those are 2 loving exchanges. Then The other one is you reveal your heart in confidence. Hey, I got something I want to share with you, Kaustubha. And Kaustubha, you know what Kaustubha does? He shuts up and he just listens. He doesn't say anything, just listens in confidence. He doesn't blab it. And that sharing and hearing, that's another loving exchange. That's how you make friends in this world. Third one, Kaustubha did it live yesterday.
And you did it.
He said, I got a present. I got a present for you. And I was like, what's he going to give me? Like some old incense. He was cleaning out his house.
I do that sometimes. I give you oil.
Sometimes he does. He gives me old incense. I like it. I got a bunch of your old stuff in my house. I really like a little deity that you had to get rid of, but you didn't want to throw it out, like some old like clay deity someone gave you. I was like, okay, it's going to give me a little clay Gopal. But he gave me, check this shirt out. Can you see this? If you're not on Zoom, it's the Madhava's Rock Band t-shirt.
That's right.
He said, what does Raghunath love? I was like, oh, sweet baby Krishna, sweet balls. And he's like, Madhava's Rock Band. And he gave me a Madhava's Rock Band t-shirt. You want to hear something funny?
Mm-hmm.
I put it on because I was a sweaty pig last night. It was so hot. I put it on. I walked out of the Bhakti Center. We were waiting for everybody to come downstairs. And there's this guy eating outside at Divya's. And he looks up at me and goes, hey, man, cool shirt.
See?
I kid you not. That's the first thing he said. Hey, man, cool shirt. He goes, what is it? I was like, it's Madhava's Rock Band. It's like this band from Bombay. It's like a rock band, but they're not like a rock band. They're like, they do chanting. And they do like a little kirtan rock. And I said, and I love them. I'm like a little fan child. And he's like, oh, that's cool, man. The shirt really pops. I was like, thank you, man. It was a gift.
Thank you, man. That was Madhava in the heart of that person just responding.
Yeah.
Krishna in the heart.
Yeah.
But you know what's amazing to me is
Yeah.
it's a fact that, as you say, it's just like that festival. It's just like, you know, you think festival like, okay, God, it's like a big production and you gotta, you know, find all, you know what I'm saying? Like there's like a event arrangers and stuff, you know, they gotta put in so much effort to make sure the music is right, the dining is right, this, that. But this festival is just so simple.
Although there were people working in that temple room all day long.
In the temple
I looked in there. They were like decorating with flowers.
Oh, you mean the swing?
There was a swing made of flowers.
But my point is this, you know, like people put on these huge productions, you know, and you walk away from most of them dissatisfied anyway, you know. But you just have to, the whole thing is just like, well, there's Radha and Krishna. We put them on the swing and we swing it and we'll sing. And that's all. And somehow this excitement, like, kind of like arises in everyone. You know, it's like,
everyone's like,
God, this is.
Yeah. Well, you know, you said something in class yesterday. You're like, you know, it's like the joy of pushing a child on the swing. It's joyful for the child, and it's joyful for the pusher.
Yeah.
You know, I have some of the fondest memories I have is pushing my kids on swings and singing them songs while they're on the swing and playing little games. I turn around, they kick me in the butt, and they love that, you know, or holding. I have millions of kids games on swings I play. And so there's like some of their fondest memories as well. So why wouldn't Krishna like that?
Of course.
Everything in this material world, it can be expanded into the spiritual realm. Krishna loves getting pushed on a swing.
It goes the other way, Raghunath. Because Krishna loves being on the swing, that we like it, right?
This is another deep root. Me and Mara were walking the streets of Manhattan yesterday, pounding the pavement, sweating.
What were you two doing? Just like walking around all over the
Well, you
place?
know what happened? Justin and Vegan Trucker and Mallory were like, let's go to Brooklyn and go to the Harinam. I was like, let's not. And I just didn't want to get in the subway.
So
it was
you
all
go to
very
the
hot.
donut plant or something, but you just like started walking down to.
Well, you know
Battery
why?
Park or
Because it was Ekadasi, so we couldn't even indulge in anything. So we're just like, all right, we got to fast. They're going out Brooklyn to chant. We feel ourselves pretty Krishna conscious, but not that Krishna conscious.
Okay.
I said, let's go walk downtown. And I wanted to say hi to my mom. And my mom. Anyway, I don't want to get into it, but she's like, I'm on a date right now. I can't talk. I was like, you're 95 years old. You're on a date? I was like, excuse me. Anyway, so I said hi to my mom. But anyway, to make a long story short, I had this idea while we were singing on the way down, me and Mallory. She was holding the phone up so I could see the Madhava's Rock Band video. And I just go to her, I just go, I love these two so much. You know, the singers of the band. I just like, I love them. I love them like a child, like a fanboy, you know? And I realized, you know, most of my life I've been famous from being in a punk band. And now even in Wisdom of the Sages, I had a lady in the supermarket at Trader Joe's in Brick, New Jersey, come up to me when we were shopping, come up to me. She pulls off her mask and goes, "Oh man, I follow you on Instagram. I love you guys. I know all your children." This sounds crazy, but you know, I'm totally into you. I don't even know how. But
Are
just
you
like
sure that wasn't like a threat or something? I know your children. I know where you live.
But anyway, I've had people be fans to me, and there's something sort of like a little ego bump. Yo, thank you, thank you. But it's not. But being on the other side of being a fan, being the fan is much more enjoyable. And I was trying to analyze this yesterday with my philosophical friend Mara yesterday. I was just saying, you know what? I love being like a fan of Amarendra who was on the show last Sunday, and a fan of Madhuv's rock band. There's so much more pleasure. I was thinking, it's because the soul wants to love so bad. Its soul just wants to give love. And where we go wrong in the material world is we repose that love in people who are not worthy of that love, or people who are just lost, or people who are just famous, or people who are just rock stars, but they don't have that spiritual connection. But when you love someone like Madhuv's rock band or it's actually, they're actually giving you what the soul wants. It's like, it's why we love worshiping, the idea of worshiping Guru and worshiping Krishna, is because we're getting something reciprocal from them. What do you think of that? We want to give love. We've just been giving it to the wrong people.
Kind of your spiritual fandom.
I'm a spiritual fanboy.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was a great night. Thank you for everybody that came out.
Yeah. Okay.
Jai Jagannath led a little kirtan there.
What's that?
Jai Jagannath led a little kirtan there.
Jai Jagannath
kicked it off.
Led a little kirtan. Bhakti Justin is ready to make his debut too.
Oh yeah.
He was going to make his debut yesterday, but I sort of stepped on his scene.
Okay.
But Jai Jagannath was great yesterday. I love him.
All right. Ready?
Yeah, third canto. Om Namo Bhagavate. Oh, no. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Yato Jayam Mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, this Supreme Lord, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, whose praise of transcendental songs will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmadatam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus-like feet. Reading from the third canto. Third canto, chapter 21. Text number
17. Is that correct, Mara? 17?
Yeah, that's right.
Mara, episode number, Mara.
Episode number 516.
It's going slower now. It used to be like, we're going faster. Now it's like slow hike to 600. Okay, let's do this.
So this is, now we have, again, the sage, Kardama Muni. He's a yogi. He's been doing yoga for a long time. And then Lord Vishnu appeared to him. The object of his meditation appeared flying on the bird Garuda, and he's offering his prayers.
However, persons who have given up stereotyped worldly affairs and the beastly followers of these affairs, right? Worshipping less than honorable people.
Okay.
And who have taken shelter of the umbrella of your lotus feet by drinking the intoxicating nectar of your qualities, and activities and discussions with one another can be freed from the primary necessities of the material body. Ooh,
Interesting, right?
pretty
So
interesting, huh? You're absorbed in hearing about Krishna, and you're just like,
yeah.
you're just aloof to the passions of the body. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. What verse did that remind you of from the Gita? Bhagavad Gita.
I don't know. It didn't remind me of any of the verses.
Machchita magata prana bodhiyanta parasparam katiyantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha
Ramanticha.
ramanti cha.
Mary, you know that verse, right? That's one of the 10. That's one of the 10. No?
One of the 4 nutshell verses.
Oh.
The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me.
I'll send you back to Bhagavad Gita school, Mara.
I need to go there.
Is it a private Bhagavad Gita school or
All girls,
Okay.
Bhagavad Gita school.
okay? So yeah, I guess when you start a verse with however, you got to kind of go back to the previous verse, right? So that had to do
However.
with conditioned souls being bound by they're being dragged around by their desires like a rope. Remember that's what
Oh
we
yeah,
read
remember that's how
yesterday.
he ended up about driving the car, trying to parallel park the car, but you're not holding onto the wheel. Remember that analogy?
Yes.
That was a takeaway. So that's when you're bound by your body, it's like being a slave within your body. When you're bound by your senses, your passions, your lust. It's interesting. We tend to think like lust is a good thing. Like not us,
He's a
but
good
it's
lusty
up.
boy, right?
Yeah, like unless like look at her, she's hot. Look at him, he's cool. Look at her legs. Look at her hair. It's like it's an excitement, but it's actually a desire, and the desires actually causes pain. This is the whole like one of the ideas behind Buddhism is that your desires cause you suffering because you're not actually enjoying it. You're hoping to enjoy the object of your desire, but you don't necessarily have it. And within that hope, and if you don't get what you want, then you become frustrated and angry. What verse does that remind you of, Bhagavad Gita?
Becoming frustrated and angry?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
You want something, but you don't get it.
I don't know.
Bhagavad Gita, man.
Tell me. Mary, do you know this one? Help me.
Dhyayato vishayan pumsa
Oh,
sangaste
okay.
jupatayate. Hit me with that.
Sangat sanjayate kama krota bijayate, that you get angry.
Yeah.
Krota.
By contemplation of objects of the senses, one develops attachment to them. From such attachment, lust arises. From lust, anger arises. From anger, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls back down again into the material pool. It ain't a kiddie pool. It fall down to the deep waters of material existence. So it all starts with where you're looking, what you're looking at, then you become attached to it. And so people who have no idea of control of the senses, they just immerse themselves. Oh, I want that. Do you remember when I was little, I used to look through toy catalogs. Like in the Sears catalog, there was like a whole section of toys. And be like, oh, toys, I want that toy.
Like really expensive things that were like way out
stuff
of
my mom
like,
would never
gonna
buy
happen.
me. I want this one. I want this one. And it's just like excitement to purchase and consume. I want this and I want this and I want this. And it what it does, it just works up a frenzy of, it appears to be happiness. It's not happiness. It's a hope to enjoy. And what we're doing in Bhakti is we become satisfied, not in the hope to enjoy, but in the quality of living.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I think it's great. Yeah, it's just a very fundamental realization that a yogi is going to need to come to if they're going to progress in their yoga path, right? Is that we think that we're free when we're pursuing the objects of the senses, but really the senses are just dragging us in those directions, right? The mind and the senses have become convinced that this external thing is going to give you some happiness and some satisfaction, and then we just follow that, even though it always leads to some sense of disappointment or frustration in the end.
Yeah.
You know? So are we free, or are we like that bull with a ring in its nose just being dragged in any direction? It seems like we're really powerful. Like the bull is such a powerful animal, but when it's got that ring in the nose, even a child can just like pull it around, you know?
Yeah. And it's a whole new concept of what happiness is and what we, how to make people happy, how to make this world happy. And how do you make the world happy? First, you got to make yourself happy. And our happiness depends on whether we can control our senses and our mind. It's a new concept of freedom, a paradigm shift of freedom in this world.
That, what's so cool is that festival yesterday. Why do you do these festivals? It's all about like the impression that it leaves in the mind. It's a yoga practice. For a lot of people might not get it, but it's a yoga practice, right? We're going to sing. We're going to put little forms of Radha and Krishna on the swing. We're going to swing them. And suddenly this happiness starts coming up, and it's like, hold on, what's making us so happy? But, the way that I understand it is that there's something so, there's something about that particular festival, right? That is, it's so right on in terms of like stepping out of the material world and into the spiritual world where
it's definitely otherworldly.
It's otherworldly. It's like, I'm happy because Radha and Krishna are happy. I'm not even saying like, why am I not on that swing with with Radha or Krishna? It's like, no, it's like, oh, they're there. And they love each other and we love them. And if this makes them happy, we're all happy. It's not that like my happiness has to be derived from taking something separate, but like we used that word yesterday was in one of the verses yesterday. What was it? Something mulam, ashesha mulam, I think it was, which meant like the root of all existence, right? So, Krishna is that root of all existence. Radha gives him the greatest pleasure. Let's just water that root and mysteriously, we all start to just feel a happiness over it. Nothing's happening here that would blow us away,
Yeah.
But it blows us away and we all feel that.
The guy who commented on my Madhava's Rock Band t-shirt.
Yeah.
He said, well, what do they do in this building? Anyway, I was like, oh, you've never been upstairs? I said, Thursday night, they have the best kirtan. It's free to the public. You should just go on a Thursday night. And he's like, what's a kirtan? I was like, what? I was like, it's like called...
You don't know Madhava's Rock Band. You don't know what the Bhakti Center is.
You don't know anything.
You don't even know kirtan.
No, I was like, first of all, it's technically incredible, sweet, wonderful, soothing music where people are like call and response chanting of mantras. But then it works up into a frenzy where people like lose it and they start to dance and cry. And I didn't know how to explain it more than that. I might have intimidated them, but I was just thinking, who can even explain this stuff? Who can even explain what's going on?
Crying. You know who I noticed crying? She's here this morning. Ananda Devi. She's got such a soft, devotional heart.
She cries.
Right? Yes, I just start talking about the gopis, and then she's just like cries. The waterworks start.
Yeah.
Beautiful sentiments.
Yeah.
But people do. They dance. They cry. They sing. They're happy.
Yeah.
And by the way, tonight it's happening again. It's happening. Like
Thursday night kirtan.
Four more. Well, Thursday night kirtan tonight, and it's Julian Yatra with the swing festival tonight. Like it's the big swing festival night.
Well, what I also noticed is that there's people who just, and this is what it's like in India, is you live. This is, it sounds crazy. It's not crazy. It's completely normal. It used to happen in every town in the USA. You build a church in the center of the town, and you have a congregation around the church. We've just kicked God out of life. But the people in India, they live around the temple and they go to visit a temple in the same way you go to, you go home to watch television. They go home, they go out in the morning to see the deities and to sing some songs, and they go to work, and then they go home, and then at noon they take a lunch break and they go see the deities and they do some singing and they see some people. It's social, it's fun, you get a little food, and then in the evening you want to say goodnight to the deities. It's like a whole thing. It's that God is at the center of your life, and it's not out of like religious duty. It's out of fun. It's out of joy. It's just your joy, man. And there's people at the Bhakti Center going there every day as much as they can. Oh, I want to have darshan. I want to go. It's such a nice thing that you have there, having that temple right there.
Isn't it wonderful? Just good people to hang out with. It makes yoga very easy, right?
It really does. It is yoga. It is yoga. By the way, it's so funny because we're saying it is yoga. Of course it is, because we know the depth of the yoga system. But when the Krishna Bhakta people first gave me one of those cards on the street, you would say, come to a Bhakti yoga class. with free vegetarian feast and Bhagavad Gita class. I was like, oh, cool. So I called up the temple and I said, because I was thinking it was just like yoga. And I didn't know, and I wasn't taking yoga then. I was,
You were
and I
taking
called up.
asana.
I wasn't taking asana yoga then. This is when I was very young, and I was like, hey, I got a card on the street. I just heard about the feast and the yoga class. And they're like, yeah, just come on down. I go, well, what should I wear? Thinking it was a yoga
leotard?
class, and they were like, yeah, wear whatever you want. It's okay. And I was like, well, sweats or shorts? And they're like, either one is good. You can wear shorts or sweats. I was like, okay.
Raghunath walks into the kirtan in like a leotard, a onesie leotard.
And then every time I go to the entire program, I was like, oh, what a great program. But I missed the yoga class again. I keep missing the yoga class.
Where's the yoga class?
This is sort of like what Wisdom of the Sage is, a daily yoga podcast, but they didn't talk about yoga. The whole thing is about yoga. This is yoga. Come on.
Where's the yoga class? How long did it take you to catch on?
It took me a long time to catch on because I used to go to the Brooklyn Temple, and it's such a big building. I was like, I don't know, it's in one of these rooms probably. I'm just a little shy. I don't want to bang on all the doors. Yoga class in here? I'm ready.
Someone should make like a sitcom about like you coming to Bhakti Yoga.
My whole life has been a sitcom, extending up to yesterday.
All right.
All right. Text 19. I think
18.
18. Your wheel, which has 3 naves, rotates around is that a spoke, a nave?
Nave is like the hub.
Okay. Your wheel, which has 3 naves, rotates around the axis of the imperishable Brahman. Interesting. It has 13 spokes, 360 joints, 6 rims. What kind of wheel is this? And numberless leaves carved upon it. Interesting. Though its revolution cuts short the lifespan of the entire creation, this wheel of tremendous velocity cannot touch the lifespan of the devotees of the Lord. It's pretty cool. We were saying yesterday how Krishna consciousness. Well, we were saying how Krishna consciousness, it uproots the greatest problem with existence, which is fear. It actually uproots your fear. Right?
What does that have to do with this?
Because he's saying it's saying your wheel
can't touch the lifespan.
Yeah, can't touch the devotees.
So what is this? What is this metaphor all about?
It's basically Lord Vishnu's wheel. The destruction is the destruction of the universe.
So what are the 13 spokes? What are the 360
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I thought it was just describing the wheel. Is it like got some secret analogous?
It's the wheel of time. There's 13 spokes refers to 13 seasons, 13 months, because generally they're 12 months. But in that lunar calendar, there's actually there's like a leap month every 4 years.
Right? An extra month.
Yeah, Purushottam. So that's 13 months, 360 joints. That's 360 days in the year.
Well, you're good, man. You're like,
well, research.
I just read right through this. That's why I love having you on the show.
No, thank
you.
you.
Go deeper.
I'm glad.
You go deeper.
Okay. And then there's 6 rims, which would refer to the 6 seasons, because in that calendar there's 6 seasons, right?
Duh.
And then numerous leaves. Those are the days.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, right? It says it has 3 naves, which I think is like the divisions of the seasons. Like there's,
okay,
and then, but it rotates on the axis of the imperishable Brahman. Now let's think about that, right? The wheel is rolling, right? Imagine you were on a wheel, like you're on this like kind of big wheel, and it's rolling, and that rolling is causing you great fear or discomfort, right?
Because it rolls over you at one point.
Well, no, like you're on it, but it's moving, and and the
like
very
a Ferris wheel.
Yeah. Okay, well, you could say.
Help me envision this.
I'm just visioning like a big wagon wheel. Okay, it's got spokes. You're on one of the you're on one of those spokes. You're on the outer rim, and you need to find like some kind of stable position. Because you're rolling around there. You move towards that axis because the axis doesn't move.
Yeah.
Right. And so here it's saying that the wheel of time is always moving. It's taking away everything that we're attached to. You know, it creates a position of instability.
Mm.
But and that's the nature of material energy. That it's always shifting, it's always changing. That's the nature of prakriti, right? Of material energy. Whereas spiritual energy doesn't move. Spiritual energy, in the sense that, in other words, it doesn't change, it doesn't deteriorate, it doesn't decompose, it doesn't fall apart. It's stable. And so just like a wheel is always rolling on an axis that stays stable. So similarly, that it says the imperishable Brahman, or the spiritual energy, right, is, if we move to that, we find stability. Whereas in the material energy, it's always destined to move and shift and go through these cycles of creation and destruction. But for the devotees, because they've taken shelter of the spiritual energy, then this wheel can't touch them.
Okay.
Even though it has tremendous velocity, right? Tremendous velocity. Interesting. Okay.
All right, my dear Lord, you alone create the universes, O personality of Godhead, desiring to create these universes. You create them, maintain them, and again, wind them up.
There's a cycle.
By your energies, which are under control of your second energy called Yogamaya. Just as a spider creates a cobweb by its own energy, and then again, can suck it in. The spider can suck it in and like spit it back out.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, that's this analogy of a spider. We've brought this up on the show before.
It's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Right.
Because Kardama Muni, this yogi, he's got these realizations. He's saying, you alone create the universes. It's him alone. You know, part of what's going on in these verses here is that Kardama Muni, although he's done this yoga, he admitted to Lord Vishnu that I have a material desire. I want a good wife, you know?
Yeah.
And someone might say, well, why don't you worship the demigods? Generally for material things. This is something that everyone needs to understand too, right? Bhakti yoga is not about worshiping God for material things. And the worship of the various gods in Hinduism is generally for material things, right? You worship this god for that, you know, Lakshmi can give you wealth, and, you know, it's like a materialistic endeavor, even though it's within, you know, a broader spiritual path, which ultimately leads to bhakti. Bhakti means I have no agenda. I'm not asking anything from you. I simply love you. But here, Kardama, he's admitting that I have a material desire. Well, then why don't you worship? Like, I think to get a good wife, like to get a good husband, who do girls worship in India?
Katyayani. Mara was just reading this to me yesterday.
Get out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you have to do a fast on khichdi, unspiced khichdi, for 1 month.
Okay.
Interesting rituals.
So who's Katyayani?
Mara's like, that's why I don't have a husband. I won't do this fast.
Well, who's Katyayani's husband?
Katyayani's husband?
Yeah.
Shiva.
That's right, Shiva. And so who do you worship to get a good wife?
Shiva.
There you go. That's right. And so someone might ask, well, Kardama, why aren't you worshiping one of the devas? Why don't you worship Shiva to get a good wife if you want? But his answer is, he says, my Lord, you alone create the universes. Like, in other words, it's not the devas that create these things. It's not the gods. But even the gods are created by Vishnu. It's all his energy. Just like a spider web, it all comes from within the spider. And it creates this very intricate network, right?
And it traps everybody.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. We can get there too, but just sticking with this so far.
And one analogy at a time. Okay.
One analogy at a time, and then he also withdraws that energy, and so this is how we understand like Lord Vishnu in this kind of like this massive time scale of his creation and destruction of the universe. It's all his energy, including the devas, including our bodies, and all of it. It's all, including us ourselves. We're all made of the energy of Vishnu, and then he sends it out, and then he withdraws it. Just like a spider, because sometimes that spider, it creates a web with its own saliva, actually, and then it draws it all right back in. And so he's
you're
saying,
like an anacrid. What's the spider called? Anacrid. Mara. Anacrid.
Iraq.
You're like an arachnologist.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not
It's like
going
a spider
too deep
spits
into
his own spit. It's web.
Saliva. And
that.
yeah, so he's saying, everything's coming from you. Everything's withdrawn into you. Everything comes from you again. Why should I approach anyone else for anything when it's all coming from you? It's smart, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but I also like when we go deeper into that analogy, right? It's like the spider creates this. It's a big net. It's a big trap, but he walks on that trap without any.
He walks on it.
He walks. He walks around on it.
Like
But
it's not a
anyone
big deal.
Anyone else gets in that thing, they're trapped.
They're trapped. Krishna's, it's beautiful.
We get trapped. Okay.
All right, let's see.
20.
20. My dear Lord, although it is not your desire, you manifest this creation of the gross and subtle elements just for our sensual satisfaction. He's doing it for us because we want to enjoy separate from him. Let your causeless mercy be upon us, for you have appeared before us in your eternal form, adorned with a splendid wreath of tulsi leaves.
Splendid wreath.
Now, people might say a tulsi. I've seen a tulsi plant. They're small. How can you have a wreath of tulsi? Man, you got to go to Vrindavan sometime. You can buy beautiful garlands with hundreds of thousands of tulsi leaves. It's unbelievable what you can get in these small villages.
Yeah.
These, we think we have it all here. We got nothing. How many people? I'm gonna look. I'm just looking around the Zoom board here. Like, oh, Isabel Bilodeau. Well, we can't tell her because she's been. Let's see. Caroline Pitts. How many flower garlands have you worn in your life? Yeah, she's. Yeah, put up your hand. Give up.
None.
None. She's saying none. She's saying zero. Zero.
Oh,
Right.
That's
Okay.
something that
Jeffrey
everybody
Ackler.
should be
How many
doing all the
flower
time.
garlands? Jeffrey Ackler. How many flower garlands? He's like, I don't know, maybe zero. Okay.
Zero.
See, these guys listen. Martine Jacoba. How many flower garlands have you worn? I don't know her backstory, but none. She's never worn a flower garland. You come with me to India, I will adorn you all with flower garlands, thousands of flower garlands, tulsi garlands, marigold, jasmine. Someone gave me this incredible jasmine garland yesterday. I was like, this
Did
is
you
real
smell that
life.
jasmine last night when they brought out that
it was
swing and the jasmine?
intoxicating.
Oh, yeah.
It was intoxicating.
Yeah. Simple
Little
things.
garlands.
That's all we need to
The
be happy.
simple pleasures of life. Every day I do my puja. I'm covered with scented oil and flowers. I'm smelling and decorating with. It's like we say, like, in Bhakti, it's not like we're cutting ourselves off from sensuality. We have more sensuality. It's just not gross sensuality. We have like the delicate, refined sensuality. Our senses are dealing with incredible smells and fragrances and textures on the regular.
Natural ones.
Naturally.
Yeah. So here, Raghunath, in this verse, it mentioned, my dear Lord, although it is not your desire, you manifest this creation of gross and subtle elements. What does that mean, gross and subtle? What are the gross elements? What are the subtle?
The gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. That's gross. And also the subtle would be the mind, the body. No, the mind, the intelligence, and the ego.
That's right.
So all that is what's manifested. That's
what our bodies are made out of.
That's the keep it simple periodic table of elements.
Yeah.
The keep it simple. There's 5 gross ones and 3 subtle ones.
3 subtle ones. Okay, so it's saying it's not your desire that we take on these material bodies and move through this material world, but we're kind of demanding it. We're saying we want a separate existence, right? We're not interested.
It's like when you get your teenager, you get a little trailer and you give him his own apartment out. Like he lives in the trailer on the property and he's like on his own room. And he's got the illusions of being independent, even though he's like, hey, Mom, can I borrow $20? Hey, Mom. It's like when you're a teenager, you got that freedom, but you're completely still independent. It's like the parents set up an illusion for you to make you feel like you're on your own.
So we're living in a trailer.
We're living in a trailer like a bunch of teenagers, a bunch of irresponsible teenagers.
Right. So he's saying it's not your desire, but because we desire it, you manifest the elements that create our bodies and that create this world, so that we can go out there and attempt to enjoy our senses separately from you.
All right, I'm going to go with this analogy one more time, because
the kid in the trailer.
You've heard this. I think it's good. I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to tie it into yesterday's class.
All right.
Karma yoga. I'm doing some work. I accept there's a higher authority, so I'll do some work to get something. And that's like, hey, Mom, I'm going to clean the kitchen. I'm going to clear the table. And the mom's like, why? What do you want? Well, Mom, I want to borrow the car later. And the mom's like, all right, you clear the table, you clean the table,
Okay.
right?
Let's say karma kunda though, right? Karma kunda.
Well, the
rather
idea
than
is that
karma
you're
yoga.
doing a work, but you're accepting there's a higher authority and you want some kickback.
So right, but karma yoga. I mean, people use these terms differently, but like karma yoga means I'm doing the work and I don't want to kick back, right? Because I have knowledge.
Right. You got to hold for my full analogy.
So
Hold
I'm saying
full
karma
analogy, sir.
kanda.
Hold for my full analogy
Okay,
before you
all right.
dissect it.
All
I'm
right.
trying to keep it simple for the simple. We have a very simple audience
Don't
here.
underestimate our audience, Raghu.
I'm simple, so I keep it simple for me.
Okay.
So listen, we do some work because I accept there's a higher authority, and I do some work because I want to kick back. Bhakti yoga, mom, I'm going to clear the table. I'm going to do the dishes. I'm going to clean the kitchen. Why? What do you want, Raghu? Mom, I love you. That's why. I appreciate all that you've done.
Mhm.
Then the third one is full on materialism. I steal my mom's car. I invite all my friends over, and everyone's like enjoying the resources of my mother's house, right? Never do that.
Right.
Invite people over to the house. Yeah, eat whatever you want. Go swimming in the pool. Have fun. But it's not even your house. This is materialism, where we try to exploit the resources of the material world that's been provided to us by our mother nature, right? And father God, father
Brother
time,
nature.
whatever you call it. So we've exploiting the resources of the parents, but giving no credit to the parents whatsoever. That's my simple analogy.
Okay. So I love it.
Feather drop. Good night, everyone.
But let's say this. Sometimes you see, there's two ways that this could be explained. That sometimes you would say that that's the practice of karma, not karma yoga. When I want something back, because it means I'm lacking knowledge. It means I'm still convinced that I'm going to find some happiness through something external. But sometimes karma yoga is divided with two terms: sakama, which means with desire, and
Nishkama.
that's right, nishkama, which means I'm doing this without any desire for any kickback. So that's like real karma yoga. It means, like, for instance, a lot of yoga practices. Yeah, what are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at sakama and nishkama. So nish is easy to remember because nish means no comma, no desire.
It negates it.
Sakama is easy to remember because you're a saka. Saka.
Saka.
Sakama.
Saka
It's a
kama karma
sakama.
yoga. Sakama karma yoga.
Good way to remember that.
Yeah. So kama means desire. So sakama karma yoga would mean I'm doing this karma. I understand it in two ways. One is that I'm doing it with a want for a kickback, or it could mean that I'm doing it and in my heart I still want a kickback, but I'm not asking for the kickback. But in any case, let's say in your analogy, it means that I want a kickback, right?
Yeah.
I'm performing my duties in life. I'm being dutiful about it. I'm being a good father. I'm being a good mother. I'm being an honest business person. You know, I'm whatever my duties are in life, I'm doing them. I'm doing them to satisfy God, but at the same time, I want something back. That's sakama, with desire. It's not the most elevated stage, but it's definitely like you're a reasonable human being out there. Like you're a responsible human being. It's better than most of us.
You accept
Right.
that there's like an order in life.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's an order. You can't just take things that aren't yours.
Yes. And that being dutiful like that is the first step in mastering the mind, because the mind says, don't be dutiful. Just run off and do whatever the hell you want. And you say, no, I'm going to do what's right. I still want a little kickback, but I'm going to do what's right. Right. Now, nishkama karma yoga means I'm going to do all those duties, but I'm like a real yogi. I realize my happiness is not attached to anything external. I'm doing the duties to please God. I'm doing it through performing these duties. I'm elevating my own character and so on, and I don't want anything for it. I'm not asking for anything. That's nishkama karma yoga, free of material desires. Right.
Isabel Bilodeau wrote on the message board, I got my first flower garland the other day. I went to the temple and the pujari, it's so special when the pujari comes out and gives you a garland. You're like, oh, thank you. And it's so beautiful and it smells great and you wear it. And then you go into hashtag devotee problems. What do you do with the garland? See, this is what happens. So most of us have never had a garland, so you don't have to worry about this. But when you start getting garlands a lot, you're like, now what do I do with this? So I like, you don't want to throw it out, but you don't, it's a garland. The flowers are going to come off. And so what I do is I throw it in a tree. I throw it in a tree somewhere, throw it in the creek somewhere. That's one idea. These are devotee problems. Most people have other problems in this world, but this is devotee problems. What to do with all the flower garlands you're getting?
Yeah, that was a bit of a subject change, but okay. I'll try to get back
I
to
was
where
bringing
we-
it full circle, but yeah.
Yeah, the interesting circle, but okay. But okay, so but in any case, so what this verse is going to do is it's saying that the creation of this world isn't God's desire; it's our desire. It's because we have a desire to live separately from God. We have a desire to enjoy separately from God. Okay, now the next verse is going to give a counter understanding. Text 21.
I continuously offer my respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet, of which it is worthy to take shelter, because you shower all benedictions on the insignificant. To give all living entities detachment from fruitive activities by realizing you have expanded these material worlds by your own energy.
Okay, so it's right. The first verse said, "You've created these material worlds for our sensual satisfaction,"
Mm.
and the second verse said, "You've created all these worlds to give us detachment from the material energy." Right? You've expanded these, to give all living entities detachment from fruitive activity by realizing you have expanded these material worlds by your own energy. It was interesting once because I was given a class not long ago. I think it was one of the Bhakti Center Srimad Bhagavatam classes. And I made the statement that, we think this world is meant for our enjoyment, but it's really meant for our education, right? For our enlightenment. It's not meant for our enjoyment. It's meant
For our growth.
Yeah, here's the takeaway, Mara, right? I would say that the material world is not meant for our enjoyment, and it's meant for our enlightenment. Most people are moving through this world thinking, how do I enjoy all this energy? But the wiser person is saying, what do I learn? We were talking about that yesterday, right? About going to Rome and thinking, okay, I'm going to enjoy it so much. If I go there thinking like that, ultimately I end up disappointed. But if I go there thinking like, what can I learn? What am I meant to gain? What does the Paramatma in my heart want to reveal to me by coming to this place? So I was asked a question. Well, it was kind of referring to verses like text 20 where it says that the world was created for our enjoyment. So in one sense, it's a subtle thing, but it's not so difficult to understand, right? It's created for us to try to enjoy, but it's designed in such a way that we actually learn from it, that the enjoyment is ultimately thwarted in the end. And I gave the example of like, say Raghunath said to me, like, you know what, I've had enough of reality. Kaustubha, I want to just enjoy without like all that reality, demands. And I said, okay, Raghunath, I'm going to create a virtual reality for you, and you could enter into that, and then you can enjoy that. And you say, great, sign me up, I'm ready to go in. But I was thinking, let's say I had the ability to design such a realistic virtual reality. And it was like so nice in there, that like once Raghunath got in, I realized it's so nice that he may never come out again, and actually life is much better in reality than in illusion.
Well, that's why people watch movies all the time, and I need some romance in my life. I'm going to watch this romantic movie. I need some excitement in my life.
Well, that's
We
the
live
dream within the
vicariously
dream.
through media.
Yeah. So if I said, okay, Raghunath was kind of demanding, like I want some virtual reality. He couldn't appreciate where he was at. So I created the virtual reality for him. But I wanted to make sure he came back out. He didn't just get lost in there. He came back to reality. So what I would do is, there's so many nice things to enjoy in that virtual reality. But if I want to do it in such a way where he's gonna realize the flaws, and I need to program time into it, right? We were just talking about that wheel with it,
right?
Let me program time into it so he can be enjoying something, but what he's enjoying is in the act of disappearing.
Like in a video game, like you only get one life or 3 lives, and then it's over. That's the time.
And then so what he enjoys there will disintegrate in front of his eyes, and then let me program karma in there too. And what karma would do is like, while he's in that virtual reality, if he's getting more selfish, if he's getting more self-centered, well, then there's going to be a bite to it, right? That's going to kind of steer him back in the right direction.
You know where you're going with all this? We're living in a fantasy world right now.
That's
Everything that we know is real is not real. Everything that we're holding is dear to us is just like sand in our hands. Everything, every face, everything that we think is solid. It's all like a dream. It's a mirage. It's a
dream within a dream.
It's a dream within a dream.
Yeah. So now
It's hard to digest this stuff, man.
But it's so
I got children to hug this morning. You're not my child.
Right.
Is that what you're telling me?
I'm not telling you exactly that. But what I'm telling you is
You
this.
are. You actually are.
What I'm telling you is
I'm going to tell those kids. I'm going to look right in their eye this morning and just say, "You're not mine. I don't
Maybe they'll
possess
say
you."
They'll say, "I know." So leave me alone. But text 20 seems to be saying that this world was created for our enjoyment. Text 21 says, no, it wasn't. It was created for our detachment. It was created for our enlightenment. So which is it? It's just like I'm saying. In one sense, I created the virtual reality for Raghunath's enjoyment, but I designed it in such a way ultimately for his enlightenment. Right? Because by putting time and karma into it, it kind of put a little sand in the sweet rice, right? It put a little.
Yeah.
It means that you can enjoy it, but ultimately it's
fully
dissatisfying.
enjoy it.
Yeah, ultimately it's dissatisfying. So that's what's going on here. Prabhupada writes some interesting stuff in the commentary to this verse, text 21. And this is important, right?
You go.
Because sometimes you get really disappointed with this world. Sometimes you're like, oh man, I can't take it anymore.
Sometimes.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. He says, unless one is disgusted with the enjoyment of this material world, right? Like, I've had enough. They cannot aspire for liberation. You just get lost in that virtual reality.
There's hope. There's hope in Maya.
Yeah,
no, there's no hope.
There's hope in suffering, right? Because they're like, okay, you're getting it. Yeah.
We're here today on Wisdom of the Sages to just share with you, like, your takeaway today is there is no hope.
Well, just put the Lord on a swing. Just put the Lord on a swing and do a little kirtan. You'll be happy, right?
No, there's no material hope.
That's the point. There's no material
There's
hope.
tons, oodles, bucketfuls of spiritual hope. There's great hope. There's just no material hope.
That's right. There's no material hope.
Material hope is
that wheel. That wheel is rolling. And
the wheel's rolling. Everything you love is getting stripped away from you. We're aging rapidly. I've looked in the mirror. It's not pretty what's going on there.
It has tremendous velocity, right? You just can't slow that wheel down. So Prabhupada continues. He says, unless one is disgusted with the enjoyment of this material world, then they cannot aspire for liberation. Liberation is for one who's disgusted with material enjoyment. Vedanta Sutra says, Vedanta Sutra is kind of this like summary of all the teaching, the Vedanta, of like all the Upanishadic teachings and so on. Mm-hmm. So it says, Vedanta Sutra says, therefore, atato brahma jignasa. Those who have given up the attempt to be happy in the material world, atato brahma jignasa means now is the time to inquire into spirituality.
Yeah. It's like this imperative. Now, you got to get serious, man.
Right.
Now is the time. Check it out. Spiritual life.
So Prabhupada says, those who have given up the attempt to be happy in this material world can inquire about the absolute truth. For those who want to know the absolute truth, the Vedanta Sutra is available, as is Srimad Bhagavatam, the actual explanation of Vedanta Sutra. Since Bhagavad Gita is also Vedanta Sutra, by understanding Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedanta Sutra, or Bhagavad Gita, one can obtain real knowledge, knowledge of what's beyond the virtual reality, knowledge of how and why the virtual reality is created and how to, free oneself from it. When one obtains real knowledge, they become theoretically one with the Supreme. And when they actually begin service of Brahman or Krishna consciousness, then they are not only liberated, but situated in spiritual life. Not only free from material suffering, but situated in spiritual enjoyment, right? Similarly, for those who want to lord it over the material nature, there are so many departments of material enjoyment, material knowledge, and material science are available. And the Lord provides for persons who want to enjoy them. I'll create a virtual reality for you. The conclusion is that one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for any benediction. The word kama varsham is very significant, for it indicates that he satisfies the desires of anyone who approaches him. But one who sincerely loves Krishna and yet wants material enjoyment is in perplexity. Krishna, being very kind toward them, gives them an opportunity to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, and so they gradually forget the hallucination. That's what we're doing here.
Hallucination.
Yeah.
Got to become fed up with material existence. You know what? Sometimes people get into bhakti just for like, oh, I like kirtan. I was into yoga, and now I love kirtan. And they sort of like dip their foot in the water. Or they get to, I like philosophy. I like to talk about it. Or I like the food. Like, oh, there's great food here. Vegetarian food. I'm a vegetarian. They get into it for maybe a trite, simple reason. But then they hear the philosophy. And what the philosophy does, brace yourself for this one, it starts to puncture the bubble of the romance of material existence. And then all of a sudden you're like, I can't even see the material world the same way anymore. Like, wait a second. I'm just going to give you guys a little warning and a quick out. I'd recommend you get your hand on the end leave meeting right now thing. What I'm about to tell you is bhakti and the philosophy of reality is going to ruin your material life. Because on a regular basis, we're going to shine light on what the material world is really about. And it's not pretty. Spiritual life is very, very pretty. That's our hope. That's our access point out of the Maya, out of the illusion. It's the taking up all, when you were a little kid, my older brother used to throw blankets over my head, lots of blankets. Like you're like trapped under blankets. Spiritual life is the removing of all these blankets to give you that freedom, to give you that hope, to give you that light again. Material life is just like running around chasing mirages, hoping to be fun, thinking this situation will make me fun. No, not this situation, this person. I got to switch persons because it's up to this person that'll make me fun. Oh no, I've got to switch climates. I can't be happy in this climate. I need a climate that has 4 seasons. No, I need a climate that has 1 season. There's no amount of material adjustment that will make you joyous. That is an inside job, people. Mara caught me yesterday.
Amount of material enjoyment. What did you say? That will make you.
Know. I didn't say it.
Happy?
God said
Is
it.
that what you said?
Say
okay. It was just working.
Rewind that. It was flowing out of me like nectar, like a nectar niblet. Mara caught me complaining about something yesterday. Okay. What did I say yesterday, Mara?
I don't remember. You were complaining about it being hot, I think.
Oh yeah, it was like, I'm hot and sticky and sweaty. Well, I said I hate New York in the summer.
There you go.
I was like, and you're like, oh, by adjusting your material situation, then you'll be happy. Is that what you're saying? Are you saying nice, that? Are you saying that you've relinquished all of your personal responsibility for your internal pleasure? Is that what you're saying? I was like, ooh, touche, madam.
Touche.
The student has become the master.
Speaking of the student who has become master, any takeaways for us, Mara?
We do. We have some good takeaways today.
Man, that goes fast. I wasn't even looking at the clock.
We're 3-4 minutes over, Raghu.
Sorry, guys. This is our second day of going over.
Right. Takeaways. Be a spiritual fanboy.
Ooh, Milaki.
Happiness depends on controlling our senses and mind.
Okay. Yeah.
You can only find stability in spiritual energy.
Yep.
We're living in a trailer like a bunch of irresponsible teenagers.
Yeah. Yeah.
The material world is meant for enlightenment, not enjoyment.
Okay.
There's oodles of spiritual hope.
There's oodles of spiritual hope.
And the wheel. Yeah, you did. Well, you said there's no material hope, and then oodles.
No,
of
you
spiritual hope.
switched it out with oodles.
No, you said it. It's a direct quote.
I said oodle this morning.
You did, yes, Raghunath. This is recorded. There's evidence of it.
And then the wheel of time is rolling.
All right.
Rolling, rolling, rolling. Keep that time on rolling.
There we go.
That's it.
There's a Bhakti recovery group meeting today at noon, and asana with Tina Shide at 6:30 a.m.
Well, alrighty. Look,
she's got the yoga shirt on over there.
Everybody's clapping. I want to thank everybody from around the globe, and they're making their hometown holy. Right? We were saying that yesterday, but what comes out of your mouth, you create a spiritual environment around you. You make your house a holy place. You make your workplace a holy place. You make your family a holy place by what emanates from your lotus-like mouth. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I'm heading to Vermont for Bhakti Stock. If you want to get out of where you are and come to Vermont with me, bhaktistock.com. That'll give you the info. hanging out in Vermont with some of you Vermonters. And then I'm heading out next Wednesday. What are we doing about the shows this weekend? We can't do it Saturday. No show Saturday.
No Saturday.
Q&A Sunday.
Q&A Sunday at 8. Yeah.
And tomorrow we're at the same time. That's good. If you're not on our mailing list, get on our Sage page. Kaustubha that takes great pleasure in making that page for everybody. And you just go to wisdomofthesages.com. Also, our shop is up and shoppable. We've had a broken link for months and months, and people have been complaining, and I keep on just saying, stop complaining, stop complaining, stop complaining. Then I realized there's something actually wrong with this thing. So if you want to get a Wisdom of the Sages t-shirt, it's been on your bucket list. You've been circling the catalog. Oh, if I had that shirt, I'd make me happy. If I had that shirt, I'd be more beautiful. If I had that shirt, I'd be more attractive to the masses. No, you won't be, but buy it anyway. Go to wisdomofthesages.com, go to the shop, buy a t-shirt. The link works now. And let's see, Bhakti just. Oh, look at Mara's got a pink shirt.
Mara. I've never seen Mara wear any of our merch.
You know, she doesn't have any. I gave her one yesterday. I had one laying around.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, like, couldn't you guys give me one?
It's a big one. It's a big one. And I was like, you're going to have to do some Madonna cut up stuff with it, Mara, to make that thing look cool.
I've been thinking of some new shirts. I thought of a good one yesterday, but now I forgot it. But I think we need a zoom the hell out.
Zoom the hell out. Puncture the material romance.
Yeah.
T-shirt.
Oh, I was thinking of a Bhagavatam verse that could be a shirt. Yeah.
What was that? Oodles of hate.
Oodles of spiritual hope, maybe? A little
Oodles
more
of
uplifting.
hate?
Spiritual
What?
Oodles of hate or oodles of spiritual hope? It's your choice. How about that?
Okay. I don't know if it's a t-shirt, but...
Oh, Krishna. Look at what I'm dealing with every day. This happy-go-lucky, crazy, threw his wig in the Ganga. My crazy recovering transvestite friend.